This is the last poem I wrote, and I'd like to read a different one other than the one I submitted to start it off. I started getting published in the 90s, and I was a caretaker for my mother for 10 years. And every time I'd get notification of a publication or a check, my mother would get sick the day before and stay sick for several days. And this happened every time I would get something published. She'd get sick the day before. I'd get notified, and it'd start getting to me. Anyway, this is called Your Mother Will Die. If I believed everything I heard from the inner voices, I would be the lost one in the mental land of choices. And yet, I have listened and looked for good advice to live by, fighting divine madness and demons screaming so I could try to be the human I knew would be me. However, as time increased my family, caution became stronger than bravery, and love grew to outlive depravity. Still, the inner voices had many names, from God to insanity, and their echoes continue to live with me, especially those which threaten free. An old man once said, "Don't believe anything you hear and only half of what you see." I wanted to write and let my thoughts be. If you do, your mother will die, was what the inner threat used to frighten me. Whether God or demons, my own mind, or the one next to me, my mother is now dead, and I write this poem and hope to be free, to be the writer and poet in me. This is called The Chiefs. I shouldn't say this, but anyway, I was in prison before, and I wrote this in prison. Some things aren't what they seem, but this spiritual meeting felt real. Some would call it a prison dream, whose only purpose was meant to heal. The greatest war chief of the Sioux and the greatest peace chief of all time met together, and no one knew, but I was there, and it was fine. They were close to the same age, with many similarities to share. They were now each other's sage, and one of the other to know he cared. I was betrayed by one of my own, they each said to the other. The scars that they had shown made them both seem like a brother. A soldier stabbed me in the back, the Indian told the bearded man. I died in a soldier's wooden shack. It was all a part of their plan. A soldier stabbed me in the side with a spear in his hand. A wooden cross is where I died. It was all a part of God's plan. Both of these men were tribal, one from 12 tribes, the other 7. Their love of sacredness was undeniable, one for the Black Hills, the other heaven. As former prisoners with similarities, they avoided talking of religion and all its disparities, knowing spirituality was where to begin. I died so people could be free to pray and live righteously, they both said simultaneously, as they talked more of the great mystery. Jesus Christ's spirit will never die, the Indian told his new brother. Crazy Horse spirit need never cry, as they shook hands with one another. I don't know how much time I got, but this is called Ganesh. Ganesh means like, it's called monster, insane jealousy. Without talking, without bothering to know me, he strokes his own inner fire and blames me for the flame. Should I tell him what my people told me, that the monster he lives with is Ganesh? Ganesh is strong enough to keep people from you and you from people. Ganesh can make you think the worst of anybody, even your own family, friends, or lover. He can make a stranger feel like a mortal enemy. Ganesh can kill easily. Ganesh is insane jealousy. This don't have a title. When creatures are caught in a trap, does God hear them? Like the starving children in the world, is He near them? In the forest, a steel trap closes to a rabbit's painful plea, while a coyote chews his foot loose in a search to be free. The man was trapped in loneliness, locked within his mind, wondering where this God was whom he heard was so kind. While he struggled and fought at every closed door, someone clubbed the rabbit, silencing its cry. The man wanted no more, wondering to die. The coyote hobbled, bleeding freedom.